John, you did a great job. You're always so diligent. You bagged Pete Alonso for us.
Yeah, other people might say annoying, but Pete was not difficult to get. He's a great
Yeah.
guy and great on the team, and he's having a fantastic year. And I got to applaud the Mets because they're really very, very cooperative about this. We've had Lindor on multiple times and Nimmo multiple times. We had Scherzer on when he was there. Uh, basically anybody we've asked has come on. So the Mets get it. They understand our job and they're helping us. But really looking forward to hear what Pete has to say because the timing isn't good and he's still going to come on. So I give him extra points for that.
Should I say the unspoken thing out loud? I won't. Anyway, there's another team in New York. But we're going to talk to Pete about his team. We're going to talk about his season. We'll probably talk some about his upcoming free agency. John and I are going to talk a lot about Anthony Volpe and his current situation with the Yankees. Not good. We'll play hit and error at the end if you stick with us on the show with Joel Sherman and Jon Heyman. John, I think we have to acknowledge that it's been a generally, not last night, a very good period for the Yankees. They took 2 out of 3 from the Astros. They took 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays. Those were first place teams when they played. They had been having trouble against good teams. They then came home and got beat up last night. But the continuing through line in all this, beat up by the Tigers, I should say, another first place team, is that Anthony Volpe has become a touchstone, a big talking point, etc. I've written about this. I've talked about it. I just don't know how you could continue to play him. He's failing at every aspect. It seems clearly to have gotten to him. If I just have to put a finer point, I mean, the whole season isn't good. A 268 on base percentage, a 206 batting average, the most errors in the American League. Uh, and just over the last 21 games, 125 batting average, one stolen base, 29 strikeouts, one walk. I mean, it's not been good, John. I think that we saw Aaron Boone say, Gary Sanchez is our catcher, Gary Sanchez is our catcher, and then start Kyle Higashioka in the playoffs a couple of years. He did the same thing defending IKF, kind of Falefa, and then kind of Falefa started about half the games at shortstop in that postseason. I just don't know how you could keep going forward with a player who is this seems mentally beat up and production wise is just giving you when you have to hold your breath on every ground ball to shortstop and every two strike count you just assume is surrender. I don't know how you go forward with this. Caballero's not a star, but he's better than that.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I got a little bit different take on it. I mean, we have seen Volpe for 3 years now. This is obviously the worst of the 3 years. I just don't think the alternative is there. I mean, I think they needed to make that decision at the deadline and really get a shortstop if that's the way they were going. I think it's too late for that decision. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Caballero is a starting shortstop. I think he's a fine utility man. At least that's what's been proven to me. I look, Volpe was outstanding last year in the postseason. Maybe he will turn it on in the postseason. I think they don't. I don't think they win without a decent Volpe. Are we going to get a decent Volpe? I'm not sure, but I just don't see the alternative as being better.
John, can I make the case at all that Caballero is an Agachioka level backup player in the middle of the diamond, and that Sanchez was supposed to be a star and it kind of fell apart? And at some point, you owe it to the team that even if it's a backup player, if the backup player is going to outperform the starter, I get you. The Yankees' chances of winning X number of games and getting to a parade go considerably down if Caballero's their shortstop and he gives what he does. But I think that like every ground ball hit the Volpe is an elimination if you're in a best 2 out of 3 early in this. At least I think Caballero fields all the balls. If he's on first base, he's a stolen base threat. He's a better hitter than Volpe right now. Am I hoping that Anthony Volpe remembers that you could hit the ball to right field again and like he did during the postseason last year? When I agree with you, he was terrific for 3 weeks and helped get the Yankees to the World Series. Man, that feels a long way. This feels like we've seen a lot of the downside of the roller coaster. This feels as down as it's been in the 3 years. And he seems, to me, John, it's reading body language, and who knows with these things. I can barely speak English. Now I'm reading body language. But I mean, he seems defeated right now.
I mean, I think certainly he's down at this moment, and I don't think the fans are helping. I mean, it's a little too much for exactly what he's done. Has he been good? No, he has not been good. I mean, the catching position to me is different. That affects every play. You're talking about a few grounders in a game, and he's had more errors. He had 19 errors. He's had more probably than anybody, but it's not crazy. He doesn't have 40 errors or 50 errors. We've seen him at his best, and he does have pretty good potential. He does have power. He does have speed. I understand IKF was a shortstop too, but I didn't think the upside was really there with IKF compared to Volpe. Volpe, can hit the ball over the fence, right? Volpe has good speed. He has
Oh,
tools.
Caballero has great speed, right?
Right.
Like he brings that part of it.
But he's not a proven shortstop. You can roll the dice. To me, that's a gamble. I'm willing to take, maybe an extra error that we're going to get at shortstop for the upside that Volpe brings. I just think that decision needed to be made at the deadline. He was struggling worse at that point than he is now, I think. And they didn't go out and get a guy who could be a starting shortstop, in my opinion.
Yeah, John, they didn't solve it. It'd be interesting. They have probably have an off-season decision. Do they just kind of get a stopgap? Do they stick with Volpe like a stopgap because maybe they think Judge George Lombard Jr. is coming at some point and is going to be their shortstop? John, when Caballero plays shortstop, he moves like a shortstop. That's what I would say is the arm is a shortstop arm. The movements, like we're blessed, you and I, right? There's a baseball game in town every night. You get to watch Francisco Lindor. It's what a shortstop looks like when he moves. That is not what Anthony Volpe looks like. He looks, the expression I used a couple of days ago on our webcast was like the Tasmanian devil playing shortstop. He's like a whirlwind trying to get around ball so he could get his arm into it, etc. It's just not worked. That's a bad spot on the Yankees. As we speak to John, he's in Philadelphia with the Mets. It's been pretty much team wide. They're having problems. Even though Soto got to 30-30 and is generally hitting, the offense seems to have shut off. They've brought up these young starters. When they go, it's good. When anyone else goes, it's not that good. They brought in three relievers and still didn't really feel like they fully solved the bullpen problem, though it's been a little better. John, like it to me, there's some like inexplicable level to this because there seems so much talent there for me. Like, how do you go a half a season playing 15 games under 500 as they have, and in this short run doing it like again where you're faltering? You're with the team, John. What's your
Yeah.
thought watching this?
I mean, I have the same thought as you. It's shocking. They were the fourth worst team in of those 76 games to be 31 and 45. Nobody saw that coming. It seems like all their starters ran out of gas at the same time. Their concerns about the defense a couple months ago have come to fruition. At this point, their defense is a major concern. I mean, obviously Lindor is outstanding at short. I think Beatty has turned himself into at least an average third baseman, maybe a little above. The only other player I would say is above average defensively is Torrens, and he's out at this point. Right? He's not playing. They have a lot of average defenders, but they're not defending well. They're not, they don't have an obvious guy who's making a ton of mistakes. I mean, Pete gets the scoops. He's solid. McNeil's solid. But, overall, it's not been good, right? I mean, I don't think Alvarez is doing great as a catcher. Now he's playing with eight fingers, so maybe I should give him a pass a little bit. But center field to me, is a major issue right now, right? I mean, Mullins has not done it either way, hitting or fielding, since he's come over. He was certainly a decent player with Baltimore, and he had a big last couple weeks there, so I could see why the Mets went after him rather than Harrison Bader, who he was actually doing better than Mullins this year, but had two bad months to end his Mets stint. So I kind of get it, but a deadline looks like a big, and it's not the difference. It's not the only thing, but it looks like a big deal because both teams needed a center fielder. Both teams wanted to upgrade the bullpen, and the Mets got Helsley, not as great as Duran, even at his best, but certainly not like this. He's a really good relief pitcher, and he did have a decent outing the other night, but before that, it's been terrible. And boy, Duran's been fantastic with Philly. He even got hit in the foot with a comebacker and was carted off the field. Came back the next day and played. And Bader has been excellent. So, I mean, that division is gone and it's gone quickly. I mean, I thought a few days ago they had a shot and it's gone, it's done. And I don't get the odds where they were 95% to get in the playoffs. I think that's a big question at this point. Now it's down at 68. So obviously it is a question. They have the advantage in games, but in terms of who's playing well now, they're not playing as well as Cincinnati, San Francisco, or about 25 other teams.
Yeah, John, you mentioned the big one, which is more important, but even in the short term, they're 14 and 25 in their last 39. It's third worst record in the major leagues. That's a quarter of a season. And that's the down the stretch numbers here. They're 11 games under 500 on the road. They haven't won a game with their offense. They haven't won a game they trailed after the eighth inning this season. There's just stuff. If you have Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Nimmo, and Lindor going, well, how do you not have a comeback win? It's a minor thing, if you're winning, whatever. But that's baffling. The team is baffling to me, John. So I wonder if a way to wrap this up, I have a question, and I'm curious your thoughts. You're always so insightful on this stuff. I kind of like their offseason, especially, you get the best hitter in baseball, maybe in Soto. You
Right,
keep Alonso. It did seem Manaea was coming off of a good year. You brought him back.
right.
I didn't like Frankie Montas, but okay, I get it. It's a short-term deal. Mostly, I liked what they did. I kind of liked what they did at the deadline. I liked that it might have been late, but they brought up three really good young pitchers. I've liked the stuff they've done in each
Right.
bucket, and somehow they're in this situation. Is there a blame game? What is there a man? David Stearns, when you're in a big market, don't do half measures. You did Soto, keep going. Or is Mendoza not managing this well? Or is there a start? What the age we live
Yeah.
in, John? There's often hey, you, you failed here. Is there a failure here?
Yeah, I mean, well, we Stearns was on. Good for him to come on a few weeks ago, and they haven't been doing great. And give him Mets credit for doing that. But he said Mendoza is doing great, and he'll be back. Now, obviously, things have gone south since then. I'm going to take him at his word. I don't. I, it doesn't feel like Mendoza's made obvious mistakes, so I'm not going to really go there. Uh, I think their defense, it's the personnel is not great in terms of defense. Um, they've had some bad luck with the injuries to the pitchers. It is bizarre that they all seem to run out of gas halfway through the year. Their pitching was number one halfway through the year. They had the best ERA in baseball, and all their starters ran out of gas. And we thought, well, they got Montas and Manaea coming back, and Manaea has not been particularly good. Montas was not good and then was hurt, and he's out now with the Tommy John surgery. I'm just not sure. I will say that Stearns did a fantastic job the first year, and his signings were great. Severino, Manaea. I'm with you. I didn't find fault. I wasn't sure about Montas because we saw him with the Yankees and he wasn't great there and they got hurt. Um, but you know what? That's the price of pitching, I guess. I don't know. Montas is obviously a terrific negotiator. I don't know what happened there, but that was a bad deal. Obviously, Winker didn't work out. The deadline has not worked. So there have been some deals that did not, frankly, work. I mean, I think it happens in baseball. It trades and free agency can be hit and miss. Certainly, it's been a miss in this deadline. I mean, look, Philly people, a lot of the younger analytic people will criticize Dombrowski. He knows exactly what he wants to do. He's willing to give up the prospects to get it. He gave up a 19-year-old catcher who is not a proven defender, from what I hear. I've never seen him play. He happened to be ranked 54th out of the top 100. And, people are like, wow, he got Johan Duran, who's the best reliever anyone was going to get, who's got a year to go. Everybody's too squeamish about giving up prospects. That said, I think we're all pretty happy with them for not giving up McLean or even Sproat or Tong. I shouldn't say even. Their prospects have done great. Their minor league system, they've done a great job developing this year. Benj and Williams have been great, but those three pitchers particularly, and thankfully they held on. They knew to hold on to those guys. Some people can be too cautious. In this case, they were, I think, right to be cautious.
Yeah, John, those pitchers might save them in the end here. The Giants still have to play 7 games against the Dodgers to end it. I mean, generally, historically, recently, I think the Dodgers are about to turn it on. That's my gut and kind of like finish this thing off. I still think they have by far the most talent. I think they might have to help the Mets. Also, it was like a late July or July 25th to 27th series. The Mets swept the Giants in San Francisco, and that is going to give them the tiebreaker. So even though it's two back, it's really three back for the
Right.
Giants right now. And that period, after sweeping them, that's when they're 14 and 25 cents. So it's a quarter of a season since they swept the Giants, but they swept the Giants at the end. I wonder if that saves them. John, clearly one of the things that has gone very right this season for the Mets is they re-signed Pete Alonso, who now owns the franchise homer record and is having a terrific season and is always great to deal with. And he's going to deal with us next on the show with Joel Sherman and John Heyman. John and I are so thrilled to be joined by Pete Alonso, seventh year with the Mets, and in 7 years, he's already the all-time homer leader, past Darryl Strawberry early this year. And Pete, it isn't exactly like you've done it in the left lane. 33 homers this year, second in the majors in RBIs, first in doubles in the National League. Pete, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Pete, look, it's there's a lot to talk about with your situation, your career, passing Darryl, but it's hard to ignore where the Mets are right now. You're in the when we're talking, you're in the midst of a 4-game losing streak. You just lost 2 to Philly. You're 9 back. To deal with you is to know you're an optimist and you're going to find the reason to be optimistic. Help us. The Met fans are obviously worried that you're sinking towards the wrong end of even the wild card at this point.
hmm
Why? I'm assuming you'll be encouraging. Why?
Well, I think for us, the exciting thing is obviously we've had a ton of talent, and the talent in the room is undeniable. Like we got better from a talent perspective at the trade deadline. And from an internal standpoint, the belief has to come from us. And for me, I've had the privilege to be with these guys every single day. I see how they work. I see about how they go about their business. I see their side of who they are from a professional standpoint. And for me, it's all the right things. And also from a personal standpoint, we have the right personalities. So when you have the right talent, the right personalities, it will happen. So for me, there's no doubt. And just because something has happened doesn't mean it will continue to. I think for us, the destiny, we control it. And I think that we have the ability to do that. And as a baseball player, doesn't matter who you are, you're used to dealing with failures. Um, I mean, for me, like I think because every single guy has dealt with adversity, um, overcoming odds, because in order just to be with the reason why I'm optimistic and positive, people don't understand because for not just I just speak personally, with my who I am, my skill set, I'm not supposed to be a big leaguer. I'm not supposed to, and I think like you have better odds becoming an astronaut than becoming a big leaguer. And because like we've been able, like not just myself, but other people have been able to overcome odds, overcome adversity, and do things that aren't possible. That's why I have the general optimism, but I see the character, I see the professionalism, and I see the talent. And when you combine those things together, it's the right formula, and we just need to keep continuing to trust in each other. When things go bad is when you lose faith in each other and you lose faith as an individual into the group. And there's no place for that, especially during this playoff run. So I think I think for me that's the like having those three hallmarks is really important for a winning baseball team, because the best part about playing for a winning ball club or a club with high expectations is going to work every day, and you have that impulsion of you're playing for something. Because I've been on teams where been out of it, and it's you're just out there, and it's tough, but when you have something to play for at the end of the season like we have right now, we're in a playoff race. It's exciting. This is the challenge that you dream of every single year in the off season, whether it be chasing down a wild card spot, whether it be chasing down a division. It's that it's that high stakes baseball that you dream about playing every off season, and it's the type of baseball that you dream of playing as a kid. So when you have all these opportunities in front, it's for me, it's exciting.
Well, you like a challenge. I know you're an optimist. Are you as shocked as we are? The team is 31 and 45 over the last 76. I think that's the fourth worst record in baseball. That's with terrific talent. You had a
Hmm.
magical run last year, a great overall season last year, and they did two huge things. They brought you back, and they signed Juan Soto.
Hmm.
Nobody thought you'd be trying to fight off the Reds and the Giants, who sold, frankly, at the deadline. So, I mean, are you as shocked as the rest of us are that there is this challenge to go?
I wouldn't say shocked is the right word. I would just obviously frustrated because that's obviously not great. But with that, there's this thing in baseball. You keep handling adversity. It's like this too shall pass, because in throughout the marathon of a season, there are trends, and there's certain things that obviously need to be addressed. Like, yeah, we need to play better. That's number one. That's obvious, and I believe we will. I think we have what, 18 games left?
I think it's 17, but yeah.
Seven, 17, 18 games left. So 2.5 weeks. And if I recall last year, I think like even like that last month we really didn't play our best baseball. Like our best baseball was in October. So for us, I think the biggest thing is do what we need to do to get to October, get that spot. Figure out a way. Doesn't need to be pretty, doesn't need to be perfect. We just need to figure out a way to get in. And you figure out a way to get in, and then everyone's on the same playing field again. It's a new season, and then the playoffs is a completely different animal.
Pete, John mentioned that the Mets brought back you and Soto. I think if
Hmm.
in the day that they re-signed you and you show up in St. Lucie, I say, hey, by the way, Juan Soto's going to have a 30-30 year, and Pete Alonso's going to have one of those really good years. He's probably going to get close to 40 homers. He's going to be among the leaders in doubles. He's going to hit driving well over 100 runs. I think everyone would have signed up to win the division title then if they you knew just those things. I just wonder, you've been around, you're obviously observant. Why do you think John mentioned this is a half of a season of pretty bad results? What do you think has gone wrong here? You remain optimistic it will go right. I think you have to probably know what's gone wrong to fix it. What do you think has gone wrong here?
Well, I think one of the things, I mean, obviously we've had a lot of like health things, like we've had a lot of important pieces like go down and get hurt, like even from the start. I think we had some really, like, for example, you had AJ Minter, who we signed, like absolute stud arm out of the bullpen. Unfortunate for him, needing surgery, I think after 3 weeks. And then Max Kranick threw the ball extremely well for us. I think he had 40 innings, I think, in maybe the first, I don't know, maybe 8, 9 weeks of the season. I mean, he threw the ball really well. I mean, again, you have certain guys, and then obviously Frankie missing time from the start of the year. And then Frankie ultimately like being hurt, needing surgery. So I think that there was a lot of like plug and play that we had to do, because like again, like you had to, like when you sign guys and you expect to have like your starting rotation. I think that um there was a lot of things that we had to do to kind of just like keep things together. And once we get guys healthy, or once we have like once we had like uh I mean, once our oh Griffin Canning, another guy who threw the ball really well for us early in the year. So I mean, when you have like starters go down, and you're trying to figure out who fits where, or guys rehabbing back. I mean, you definitely miss those quality starts, and you miss you miss that quality or continuity, I should say, from a collective standpoint. I definitely think we got the injury bug pretty good, and that's definitely had ripple effects. throughout the season, whether that be putting more load on the bullpen, having to find innings somewhere, finding who's going to eat this inning today. I think obviously we've had rookies come up throw the ball really well for us, but I'm going to give David Peterson his flowers because he's been one of those constants all year. It's like doesn't matter how, I mean he's had his first All-Star selection. He did a great job for us, but also he did a wonderful job. Maybe if it's not like a perfect outing, eating innings, like throwing the ball through the sixth and trying to get to the seventh, like just to shorten the pen. So I think it's just been a long ripple effect of certain things where extra guys in the bullpen have to throw in an extra inning here and there, and those type of things add up over the course of 162.
You mentioned that the goal now is to get in, as you guys did last year. You got in with the win in Atlanta, the Lindor home run, and then you had that great run. Your home run was obviously the biggest key, but you made a beautiful run there. The realization that you're not winning this division kind of hit me the first game in here, the 1-0 loss, which was obviously you got a hit, a double by Vientos. You were in position, didn't win that game, and they held on. Uh, when did it hit you that you're not going to win this division, and how big a disappointment is that?
I think that I think winning the division, for me, I think it as obviously phenomenal as it would be. I think it could be it's a double-edged sword. Obviously, there's a give and take there. It's like, okay, you get I think 4 or 5 off days or whatever, but for me as a guy who plays every day, I don't know if 4 or 5 days would benefit or hurt me going into a playoff series where last year I thought we did a like we just continued it. It's like hitters were used to seeing pitching every day. We were used to the playoff atmosphere on the road, especially like Milwaukee, domes closed. I mean, so we were used to that pressure cooker last year where it's like the intensity of every single pitch, the meaning behind every single pitch. I think having 4 or 5 off days I mean, it could be very beneficial, but also it could very not be. You don't know until obviously it happens. But I think last year, like continuously to play, like didn't necessarily. I mean, it definitely benefited us in our case last year.
Pete, you mentioned you play every day, and I know that's one way to express leadership. Your durability, simply, I'm going to be in the lineup, hitting right in the middle of it every day. In a bad time like this, what is the leadership fabric like with the Mets, and what is your place in it?
I think for me, I I think I display leadership by doing like because I think for me we anyone talking is great, you can say things, but I think the most impact is people who lead by example. And for me, like whether it doesn't matter how I have to get my body ready, it doesn't matter how I have to do things, like whether it be treatment or this or that, like it doesn't matter at 7:05 or 7:10, whatever game time is. I'm strapping it on, I'm going out there and I'm shooting my best bullet. That's it. Over the 162 games, like and like the only way that I'm not going to be in there is if I physically can't be. So for me, that's just my attitude every day, and every day is a new opportunity. And for me, I take pride in that. I love that, and I'm not just out there for myself. I'm out there for my teammates. And for me, if I don't know. I just think for me, it's just something I will if I'm able to play, I will play. It's just there's no doubt in my mind. Any day that ends in Y, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. There was one, I think we were around the All-Star break, and they were saying you'd probably be out 6 weeks, and I think you missed a week or maybe 8 days, something like that. And you played every game this year, last year, and I think you basically averaged about 157 games, something like that a year. It is pretty incredible. And I know we've been a little negative as the Mets are struggling now, but to be positive, you've had an outstanding year. Soto's had an outstanding year. Lindor's had an outstanding year. But how about the kids? What is those pitchers, McLean,
Hmm.
Sprode? Tong. Now, what stands out about them that maybe we don't know, that we don't see? You're in that clubhouse every day. I mean, to me, it just bodes well for the team's future. If they are boosting you this year, but certainly for the future.
Obviously, you look at the stuff that they have. I mean, it's great stuff. I mean, I had a couple ABs off of Sproat. I mean, obviously, live arm in spring. I haven't faced Hahn or McLean, um, but I mean, those guys. I mean, just their stuff, pure stuff. Obviously, that's going to help. I thought the other day. Jonah was, I mean, he's didn't necessarily have the best outing in Cincinnati, but he showed enough moxie to get through 6 innings to kind of like, yeah, I think he is six innings, 4 runs. Obviously, like not the start that he wanted to have, but the fact that he was able to get through the 6 inning, hand it off to the bullpen, I mean, that's massive. So we don't have to burn an arm earlier. I mean, that's how you win over the course of the 162 game season. Like making sure that the boys down there aren't firing extra bullets that they don't need to, getting warmed up, or making sure that those guys down there are taken care of and fresh, not just for tomorrow, but 2, 3, 4 days, or how do we win this series and how are we looking forward to the next? So, like making sure that we're not using arms earlier in the game. That's big, especially now at this time of year where everyone's just trying to get to the finish line. So he showed tremendous poise. I mean, Sproat obviously had great stuff in his debut. Was really happy that he threw the ball really well. But this is one thing about Nolan. I see a bit of Max Scherzer in him, like the psycho competitive. Obviously Max has been in the big leagues for a really long time, and he's had the success, the Cy Youngs to kind of be more outward with it. But as soon as when Nolan starts to find more success, become more comfortable in his role as a big league starter. Once kind of the leash is taken off him, like next year when he's able to go beyond 100 pitches, or when they want him to go beyond 100 pitches, because yeah, he's gonna have that psycho Max Scherzer competitiveness, and I love every second of it. I mean, it's you can just it just the competitiveness oozes out of him, and that's the most impressive thing to me, and that's why he's great stuff. He's nasty for sure, but the X factor what of that's impressed me, and where oh yeah, of course it checks out, of course doesn't surprise me at all. It's that ultra competitiveness where it's like the more years that he pitches in the big leagues and the more success he finds, the more outgoing he's going to be with that psycho competitiveness, and it's going to be awesome. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but he's like trying to suppress it a little bit because I mean I think this is month one for him, but as the months and years go on and the success keeps finding him, he's gonna yeah, it's gonna be fireworks. It's gonna be must watch TV.
Uh, one name that's come up in this interview a couple of times is Juan Soto's. Uh,
Hmm.
for about 3 or 4 months, Juan Soto was having a bad year, which about 97% of baseball would have signed up for in his bad year. And then over about the last 6, 7 weeks, he's put on the full Juan Soto show and got to 30-30 last night, which again feels. Imagine if I had told you in March, by the way, this dude is going to steal 30 bases this year. What's the Juan Soto experience? Locker room, hitting in the lineup, and just seeing the skill level for now 5+ months.
He's just the same guy every day. He's been like for me, I just think he's really he's quiet, he's reserved, he's focused, and he's just like lives, breathes, and eats baseball. Like that's really it. I mean, what you see like from a production, like again, it's like, oh, of course, because the only thing that like for me, it's like I see it's like he just loves ball. Like that's it. Like he lives, breathes, eats baseball. Like that's like the amount of locked in and focus, like he's been the same every single day. And I mean, it's funny when you think of like, oh, down year, but I mean, Was it? Even at the start, like I mean, again, you look at his first half, it's like I mean, he could have easily been an all-star if selected and people would have been like, yeah, of course, those are all-star numbers. But yeah, I definitely don't think like the down year thing that people were saying was fair because it wasn't. Because I mean, again, it's that's just how great he is.
I think you've nailed it on Soto. He's got complete tunnel vision. I've never heard him talk about anything but baseball. And as far as a bad year, people kind of suggested that about you last year. You had 34 home runs. You had an OPS plus over 120, as you always do. In fact, you always hit over 30 home runs. But you have been better this year. You've really done something. Is there some different mindset, approach? Something without getting too technical, too much in the weeds. Uh, what's different about this year? Because you do, it seems like you're going the other way, which you did in the playoffs last year when you were absolutely fantastic. Is it
Mhm.
that, or is it something else?
Well, I think for me the biggest thing is I basically wanted to have a higher understanding of my swing, of myself, who I can be as a player. So, I mean, the playoffs last year, that's like probably from a consistency standpoint, like the most pleased I've been. Like if an at bat didn't end with like a positive result, it was still like, okay, that's how I want to get out. If I'm going to get out, I want to feel like this in my swing. I like it's one of those things where it's like even if you get out, it's a positive because it's like I had my swing, I swung at the pitches I want to. If I got beat, you know what? Okay, whatever, tip my hat or oh, hit it hard right at somebody. Can't do anything else. It's fine. So I wanted to be able to harness that and be able to basically understand why that was so successful, why certain things kind of either slip or may not be the same because yeah, okay, fatigue's a thing, travel's a thing, your body's not the same every day in the big leagues because it is a marathon, which but how can I do the best I can to minimize those factors? What mechanic, so basically it's like how can I understand my mechanics to be able to make them repeatable? How can I understand or how to make myself optimal as many days as possible. So I feel like I did a great job doing that. And also too, like how do I do a good job of understanding how I'm getting attacked? How can I adjust along with this? And then it's that, and then it becomes the cat and mouse and adjusting with that. So I feel like as a I mean, this being my seventh year, I definitely feel like I've done a better job being able to adjust, readjust, understand oh, like they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And also too, I think being more educated with like the analytics. I think I've done yeah, I mean, I've done a lot in not just in the off season, but continue to do a lot. So that contributes a lot to it.
Pete, I'm going to ask you a free agency question this way. Uh, I assume if I ask you, you're going to tell me you want to, you could tell me no, that you'd like to be a Met for life and that you're putting it off until the off season. If I'm wrong, you could tell me. Uh, so my question is actually, are you mad that you have to do it again? Like usually star players don't have to do it this quickly over and over. And you certainly have been a star in New York. That this is lingering out there, is that upsetting to you?
No, I don't think so because regardless of contract situation, I want to play well. I want to play my best every single year. So I remember last year, like, I mean, Joel, you and John asked me like, oh, is it nerve-wracking? And well, being a free agent, no, because every year it doesn't matter about my contract. For me, I'm a competitive guy. I want to be the best player I can be every single year. Like, it's not just for me, it's I mean, obviously the contract stuff, like the agents handle that. And players, good players make good agents. Like if you play well, then you give the agent ammunition. But like for me, that's really not the important part. For me, the important part is to compete, to win, and that's really it. How can I contribute to my team? And like if you look at a baseball team as like a as an engine everyone does different things to contribute, but how can I do my part the best, the most efficient, and perform uh to like optimally. That's really it. And for me, like that the contract stuff doesn't change because it doesn't want to change my pursuit of greatness and pursuit of success every single year. That's just simply not the case. So for me, it's like I just want to be the best version of myself every single year. I want to evolve and I want to perform.
Well, I like that question that Joel asked. I like your answer too, but I will ask the most obvious free agent question. How do you see your future? Would you like to stay with the Mets, or I'll let you answer.
I mean, for me, I've grown up in this organization and it's been really special. Like there's some great people here. And I mean, obviously, like the fans have shown nothing but support, but I mean, the people that I work with every single day, I go to battle with, and there's been a lot of I've been blessed with unbelievable coaches, clubhouse staff, and teammates. So, and for me, like those people are really, really important to me, and it's been really special. But again, like we'll see what happens. Like I love it. It's great, but you can't really predict anything. And for me, obviously, Joel, you are correct. I am focused on uh I am focused on trying to put this thing across the finish line so we can go to the playoffs and do damage. I mean, I haven't really thought about the free agent thing until like we're talking about it right now. So um yeah, I mean, it'd be great to stay. But again, hopefully, something. I mean, whatever happens, happens. You know, like again, that's not my. Um, I can't get in a crystal ball. I wish I could, but we'll see.
Uh, P, as a way to wrap this up, and again, John and I appreciate you so much taking the time. You know, Mets are not playing well right now. A lot of guys would bag out. We appreciate you joining. My last question is, look, the three things that I think everyone agrees that you do great is hit the ball for power, handle a gigantic market, as people would see here, with aplomb. And we mentioned it earlier. You just get on the field at a level that few people get on the field. And you mentioned it before, you were glib when you say if it ends in Y, the day ends in Y, you play. I wonder just if we could go a little deeper there because I think it's one of the things that analytics misses at the highest level, which is
Mhm.
attendance. Like if your best players get on the field, I'm sure 80% of Pete Alonso is better than 80% of baseball. Where does it come from? What does it mean to you to be this durable and dependable? Carlos Mendoza knows he could write in you, Lindor, Soto, and Nimmo pretty much
Yeah.
every day. Every day.
It's a if I mean it's an edge. Like I want to compete. I want to win. I and that's really it. But if you I from an analytic standpoint, it's interesting. I I mean it's really interesting that you kind of say that. But from a contractual standpoint or analytic standpoint, you can say like yeah. Have you ever heard of the term or like in business like dollars per use?
No, but I now have.
So like let's say you buy something, right? Like let's say a Ninja blender. Like I don't know how much it is, but let's say you spend the money. Is the money worth it if you only use it once?
Right.
No. It doesn't matter what cost. It could be a household appliance, it could be anything. The money's not worth it if you only use it once. But doesn't matter if it's expensive or not expensive. If you use it every day or if you use it a lot, then it's worth it.
Yep. I'll go out with a story. I once told my late father he bought a very, very cheap pair of jeans. And I said, Dad, let's go back to the store. I said, these are going to rip in 2 days. And I said, you saved money, but you didn't save money. Let's
Right.
go buy a pair that are going to last and be in style 2 or 3 years from now when you're still doing it, because
Right.
that will, like, whatever it cost you today, it's going to cost a lot yet less per unit for each time you wear them than the other thing. And I know what you're talking about, which is Pete Alonso's value is he's there and consistent every day.
Exactly. Like if you get a pair of shoes and they break down after two, three pairs or two, three times aware, then if you go buy the same shoes, then you're just going to keep doing it. It's
Yeah.
that you're caught in a cycle. But if you do something and it outlasts and it's worth it, then then I think it's worth it. So I know that's very rudimentary. I know like there's probably like now after we're having this conversation, it's going to spark like there's going to be somebody on Baseball Savant or Reference or whatever going to be like, oh, or like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I think that being available, it's like you said, like whether it's like marketing, but at the end of the day, like from my perspective, I feel like if my type of game, or it's like if I get my best swing off, if I just have one bullet that day and I get my best swing off, it's got a chance to leave the park. And if if I hit a home run, we're gonna have a really good chance of winning the game.
You,
Yeah.
you know what? I knew you were tough when your car somebody hit you, went through the light or something like that, and your car it was Jeep rolled over and you
Oh yeah.
walked away. Is that true that you had not a scratch when you walked away? And did you pick up the car and put it back in the right spot, or did it end up on the right going the right way with the wheels on the ground?
No, so no, that's a true story. I'm very fortunate. So I was in my truck. Yeah, my wife was actually we're doing like a little caravan. So all of our bags for the season, all of our luggage, bags, everything was in my truck. And she was following behind me with our dogs in the S in her car. And yeah, I get T-boned. Yeah, I kicked my way through the windshield and I was honestly it felt I like honestly I after like car spun a couple times and landed like on its side, I was just like, all right, everything's attached and no blood. Like I did like just like vital checks. I'm like wiggle my toes. All right, like let's get out of this thing. If it lights on fire or whatever, like let's get the hell out of here. It's not good to be in here. So I kicked my way out of the windshield and yeah, I was able to be okay. No concussion, no anything. I was very fortunate. Also, a huge shout out to Ford. Thank you so much for your beautiful design in F-250s. Thank you for keeping me alive.
Thank you. I
Uh,
have Ford stock, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
yeah. That's a great way to wrap it up. I'll wrap it up like this. I was there the next day in Met camp, and Pete Alonso didn't have a scratch, but lesson to every other ball player. After that traumatic experience, he talked to the whole group of us the next day at his locker about the experience. Pete Alonso has been a stand-up guy in New York for 7 years. He's a stand-up guy right now. The Mets are not going well, even though he's doing great. And Pete, we always appreciate you, but John and I appreciate you joining us on the show with Joel Sherman and John Heyman.
No, thank you guys. Yeah, let's go, Mets. Time to finish strong.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for keeping it clean. Good.
of course.
John and I, of course, thank Pete Alonso for joining us on the show. John, hit or error?
I'm going to give a hit to a few teams that people thought were out of it. They said there were no races. I think there are races. Now, part of that's because the Mets have played so poorly, but let's give the Giants a little credit for hanging in there. Some of these teams that have sold are in the middle of the race. In fact, I mean, I'm not counting the Giants out. I know that a couple days ago it was like 2% they'd get in the playoffs. It's not anything close to that at this point. So I'm giving the Giants, the Guardians, the Rays, teams that sold the Rays kind of bought and sold, but I'm giving them credit and a hit for hanging around, doing well. And the Giants, in fact, picked up a player from the Mets, Drew Gilbert, who's I guess brought energy. Everyone's talking about this guy, and I went and looked, and he's hitting 240 or something
Yeah,
like
I
that. Everyone's
know.
talking like he's the savior. I'm like, wow, I got to do something about this. And I thought he was hitting 570, which is like 240, but it must be some kind of energy. Something maybe the Mets could use. I don't think they were calling him up anyway, but maybe they could have used his energy. I don't know. We don't know exactly what's wrong with the Mets, but I'm giving the Giants credit for hanging in there and being in the race, and they are in the race.
John, baseball is inexplicable, right? You mentioned teams that sold that have played better. The Rangers literally have lost the guys who hit one, two, and three on their championship
Right.
team. Simeon, Seager, and Carter, plus the ace of that team, Evaldi, and all of them were good this year. I mean, not Carter as much, but I mean, Seager was still one of the best players in the sport. Evaldi was one of the best
Right.
pitchers, and they've played better. since they did. Baseball is, and we keep trying to explain the inexplicable. John, I'm going to give a hit also. I'm going to base it a little bit on what we talked about with Pete Alonso, just about, I actually think that this generation of front offices give so little respect for attendance, the ability to be on the field and responsible. Like they're okay with all the switching and stuff. I want to give a hit to Will Warren, who made his 30th start yesterday. He showed up in spring training as probably the seventh or eighth starter this year. And because of injuries right away, he's been in the rotation the whole way. John, would you like to know the name of the last rookie who started 30 games in a season for anybody?
For anybody, I was going to say the Yankees. I was going to guess Stan Bonson for the Yankees.
Stan Boston is an answer, but he's not the last one. I'll get to the Yankee one in a second. If you
Oh,
want
okay.
to
I
try the
don't
Yankee
know.
one,
That's
we'll
how
do
old
the
I.
Yankee
That's how
one.
old I am.
That we'll do the Yankee one first. The last one to do it was 1973 was Doc Medich. Was the last
Okay, I
Yankee.
remember him well.
Yes,
Sadly,
yes, he was. Me too.
and he
Who was
was actually a doctor.
he was
Yeah,
an actual doctor, which is why he was
yeah.
Doc. So he was the last one for the Yankees. The last one in the major leagues was actually the guy who started against the Yankees last night. Casey Mize did it in 2021. It's
Wow.
not
All right.
frequent that a guy does it. And the Yankees simply had no other answers. If this guy does not go
Right.
from kind of A to Z here and get and
Yeah.
even last night when the Yankees lost, he did what he's done, I think, in all but about 3 or 4 starts this year. He gave up 216. He gave the Yankees a chance to win when he handed the ball to Aaron Boone. And
I mean,
for what the expectations were for him, a guy who I think we probably all would have said on April 1st, there's no way he's staying in the rotation all year. His ability to stay in the rotation all year is one of the reasons the Yankees are in playoff position. Because
right.
again, our analytic friends might not have respect for, like, they think there's some replacement level Alan Wynan sitting in the minor leagues. There is not. The Yankees didn't have Jonah Tong ready to go or whatever, and their veteran guy Alan Winans wasn't going to get guys out. Will Warren has helped the Yankees make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. And attendance availability, that is huge. As somebody who skipped fifth grade 53 and a half times, I guess I went half. I saw my report card at some point in the last 10 years. I have a total respect for somebody who has a great attendance. We just celebrated Cal Ripken's. I can't believe it's been 30 years. I
Oh
was
my God.
actually at that game. It feels like, I don't want to say it feels like yesterday. That would be a lie, but it feels like 15 years ago. It's been 30 years since Cal Ripken broke that record. That's a record that will never be broken. I know people said that about Lou Gehrig's record, but no way. And it's great timing for you to say that too with Alonso. It's amazing. Really played every game this year, last year. I went back and looked at his record. I mean, I think he's played at least 150 games every year, except for the
Yeah,
year with the pandemic.
durable and responsible and
It's amazing.
accountable. Like
Uh,
the ability to get on the field. It has lost its respect at a time where people project the numbers. Well, if he played 160, but he didn't play 162, I had to play his lousy backup, right? You and I were discussing if Jose Caballero is actually capable of playing. You know, the one thing I'll give about Anthony Volpe is that dude is available. Like he's ready to play every day. And I know Yankee fans will cut that out and say, "Oh, that's the worst thing that ever happened to us." But like I do think at a time where injuries have never been more frequent, when people bail out more, when teams want to play platoons and etc. and load management, the ability to go kind of like soup to nuts is as impressive as ever. Pete Alonso, our guest, does that. And I just wanted to highlight Will Warren, who certainly is nobody's all-star, but the Yankees don't get to the playoffs without him being good and available this year.
Right, because what's the alternative, as you
Yes.
pointed out?
Yep.
Exactly. Good for him.
Yep. Somebody who is our Iron Man is Tommy Hogan. Week after week helps us get this show. And by the way, that's not easy. He's got to deal with me and John, not exactly on everyone's bucket list to do. Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, please rate and review us and give us a listen. The New York Post YouTube sports page, give us a view. John's wearing, is that a Northwestern shirt that you're going purple
It
today?
is not, it's Wimbledon, but it is
Oh,
purple.
Wimbledon. It is purple. I thought you were doing
And
your
some people
alma
are going to
mater.
say it's a Rockies shirt
We're
that they're.
both purple. NYU's purple also. I don't
That's right. They're
I
the
don't
Violets, right?
I don't think they're that anymore. I think they changed it to the Bobcats after I graduated. I think
I thought Violets.
Violet, it doesn't
I
sound
thought
weird
a
coming
flower was
down.
appropriate. I thought a flower was appropriate
I
for.
know, I get it. I saw the sports teams while I was there, but like Like,
Who am
you know,
I? Who am I? I went to Northwestern. I can't be ripping anybody else's sports
I think
teams.
NYU's women's basketball team has won the national championship twice since I graduated. So they're
All
actually,
right.
yeah, I think
Okay.
they're really good
Well,
at it. I'm not the rah-rah sort. I'm not
Mazel tov.
that area.
Mazel tov. I think.
Mazel tov. Anyway, we got, I think, what is it, one more show for the regular season before we hit the postseason next weekend?
I
Whatever it is,
I'm
why don't you just keep sticking with us on the show with Joel Sherman and John Heyman?